Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another edition of Bar Talk. It's Sunday, it's 5 p.m., and as always, we're here on Jamaicans.com and A Moment to Remember. This is brought to you from Moment to Remember Studios, where we do all things photo and video. Today is Bar Talk Ladies Edition. Ladies, are you in the house? Can I hear you? Everybody so silent? Can I hear a little, listen, the ladies are here and they're ready to go. And so the topic this week is, in today's times, or in these times, do we still need to put a ring on it? I know those are fighting words, but hold on, folks, just hold on a bit, because what we'll be doing, we're just gonna address the George Floyd situation. Last week, the gentlemen, as you know, we had an all-male cast here, and they really had some serious thoughts here. We just thought it would be fitting to give the ladies a chance to, equality to pinch in and say what they need to go. And then we hit you with, do we still need to put a ring on it? As always, we just want to do a little bit of housekeeping first. So this is a live stream brought to you on Jamaicans.com. If you are trying to figure out where to go, I know sometimes people have a hard time logging in. It's www.facebook.com/OneLoveJamaica. So that's www.facebook.com/OneLoveJamaica. And if you're watching this right now, it's a very interactive show. So what we'd like for you to do is just send us a line, say hi, hello. If you know anybody here, don't call them out, but do say hi to them, okay? Just tell us where you're coming from. We have people who are watching from all over the world, and we're excited when you call in to let us know. Of course, you know, this is a show that I could not do by myself. We got cameras, we got people who are operating. So apart from the folks you see here, we do have my brother from another mother who runs shotgun with me every week from KevinStew.com, DJ Kevin Stew. Okay, and we have other people like we have Juliet Stedman, and in the house you can't see him because you're exercising social distances. We're talking about Bridget Edwards and Eddie Edwards in the house. All right, so let's get the show started. First of all, like I said, last week we did a bit of, guys came in, they're wonderful, highly professional gentlemen, two lawyers and a doctor, and we spoke, and it's the younger generation. We spoke at length about what's happening in the country from just a thought of being able to stand on someone's neck for that length of time and the trauma that someone went through. Dr. Ashby went all through that. And we look at some of the things that are needed for us to move forward. And so the guys did a wonderful job, and we thank them again. And if you need to go look at that, go on Jamaicans.com again and look at last week's episode. This week, not to be undone, we got some of the most qualified, beautiful ladies in the audience, and I'm going to ask them to briefly introduce themselves. Starting with somebody I've worked with for years. We taught at the same school. She's still in the business of educating kids, and trust me, Miss Tammy don't play. Okay, start with Miss Tammy.
Hi, my name is Tammy Green. I teach here in Fort Lauderdale, originally from Bronx, New York. I have 3 daughters, so I have a 2020 graduate this year, unfortunately.
Awesome.
I enjoy being in Florida. I have my MBA. I also do tax accounting on the side. As I heard you say, you did several positions.
And folks, she ain't Jamaican, but she got him a couple of jobs going, you know?
See, he just did that again. I am from the Caribbean. I'm Puerto Rican, so I'm part of the Caribbean. Thank you.
Oh, Lord, all right.
And that's it. I'm sorry.
Okay. Miss Kavina, go ahead.
Okay. My name is Kavina Alexander. I am originally born in Florida. I am currently a mental health counselor at Henderson for individuals with schizophrenia, psychosis, and bipolar disorder.
Folks, I don't know what that has to do with putting a ring on it this evening, but she's going to tell us what that is all about. Okay. Leah, go ahead for me, please.
Hi, I'm Suleya. I'm an assistant principal at a local charter school. I'm also a founder of Link Up and Build, which is a local organization, a nonprofit that accommodates and helps our Black families come together and love themselves, know their roots, especially our children, because they do not get it within the school, because I know. You can find us on Link Up and Build on Instagram and also Facebook.
Awesome. And last but by no means least, Nikki.
Hi, I'm Nikisha Thompson. I am a former educator. I'm currently a licensed real estate agent and a licensed mortgage loan originator and processor. I also have an online Etsy shop. It's called Mahogany Post, where I provide business tools, planning tools to people starting their own businesses. And you can find me on Instagram at Nikki Sky. It's at NIKKISKAI.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. And we're just going to move straight in because we have so much to discuss. Remember, as I said, if you are viewing this anywhere in the world, we'd like to know. It makes us feel good. So we just want to have a ladies' perspective very quickly, ladies, in about a minute or less. Just tell us exactly what. We're going to start with Tammy. And then we're going to skip over Tammy. We're going to go and end with... why do I have a Kavina, right? Kavina. I'm trying to figure out, and Kavina is giving that look like, what? Okay, go ahead, Tammy.
Basically, my take on that, being a mom, it was heart-wrenching, especially when he yelled out for his mother. For me to even think that I would see my child getting abused that way, it really hurt me. My daughters did go to protest on Tuesday in Sawgrass Mall. I went with them to make sure nothing happened, because of course if I'm not there that would kill me more. But everything went well, and basically it's a sad thing, and he's not the only one, so it's sad.
I'll switch over to Saleha.
At first I tried to avoid watching anything about it, but it hit me. I am a natural healer in my spirit, so it had to come to me. I feel like there's a lot of trauma that our people have gone through, and we have to do a lot of healing. I've been focusing on love. I started prayer groups. I've been speaking to people, trying to just express that love and letting our Black people know that we are the light, we are royalty, we are kings, we are queens, and we can overcome this. Things keep happening over and over again because we haven't organized and saw our true self. We need to know who we are and remember who we are so that we can be able to overcome it. So that's where I stand with that.
Awesome. Nikki?
I just want to say that I understand everything that's happening, all the different actions and different perspectives. I understand the people with the peaceful protests. I understand the people with the violent protests, because people have been protesting peacefully for so long. And at this point, there's a lot of rage, a lot of anger, a lot of hurt. I even understand the looters, because even that comes from a place of poverty, and that is, of course, a link to the systemic racism that we've been experiencing. So I understand all of it, and I think that we need to focus on where we're going from here. What is the next step, and how do we collectively come together and figure out what it is that we want? And we need to come together as a community and say tangibly, what is it that we want to achieve from here? So once all of the rage dies down, what are we doing next?
Awesome, awesome. Kavina, we're going to close out this section with you. And the reason why I did that, folks, she is the mental health counselor, and she does a whole lot of things, from normal behavior to schizophrenic behavior. So I just wanted to take from her at this time as to what's your view from the mental health perspective.
Okay, so from the mental health perspective, first I want to say, being a mom, finding your identity, understanding the different perspectives of why people are reacting the way that they are actually reacting. But for the mental health perspective, I think what's more important is understanding, why is it affecting you to that level? What is happening that is causing you to react in a certain manner, right? And then the next step is, now, who am I outside of this? What do I have to do to help create an atmosphere for people who can, express it freely, right? So when I'm counseling my clients, I give them the space to do so. A lot of people don't give people space to be able to express the things that they need to express, even if it comes from a very angry place, if it comes from a very emotionally depressed place. So I think what's more important, not only to say, okay, how is this affecting me? Am I going to give my sister and my brother space to discuss this and not shut them down? But lastly, how do I step back and rejuvenate and re-energize my body, right? Because we all talked about trauma. You said trauma. We are affected by this in a very traumatic way continually for years on top of years on top of years on top of years. So now you have to say, okay, let me step back. Let me set up some boundaries and then recollect myself, and then how am I going to contribute to this without, losing the cause or losing the pure purpose of it.
I love that. One thing real quickly, because one of the things that came out of it is that some people were saying to me, and I've heard it said quite a few times, we shouldn't get the young kids involved.
That's confusing.
And that is confusing. And it says, so from your perspective, because there are kids up there who are marching. There are kids at 5, 6 years old. They're also marching. And there are people who are saying not to allow this to happen because you're confusing the kids. It's too graphic. It's too much to bear. What's your take on it?
I guess my question is, what age do we all get affected by racism, right? We learn our color at a very young age, right? Like little girls will pick out certain dolls and say, I like this doll because the doll is lighter. I like this doll because the dog has prettier hair, or whatever the case may be. But all our kids are affected, and we like to shield kids from things and the real world, right? So what I think is more important is trying to figure out how do you give your kids an identity with all that's going on, right? My son is 1, so I said, okay, let me read him books because he's like a sponge, like 2, 3, 4 years old, then he understands his blackness, the positive, because we all know outside of the family atmosphere, there are people who are going to dictate to him what his blackness should look like, how he should behave, and so on and so forth. So I don't think you should shield your kids from anything. I mean, I do think the level to which the violence and the trauma, but actually understanding their identity shouldn't be shielded.
I like that, because sooner or later, based on what I'm hearing you say, sooner or later, it's like you're driving a car. Sooner or later, you're going to show up at a stoplight.
Yeah.
How do you deal with that stoplight? Green, amber, red is how you move forward.
Yeah.
Good. Ladies, you've heard it, folks. The ladies have spoken. They're wonderfully highly educated folks, and they're coming to you with a perspective. And the age group is varied, so you can take that as gospel from the ladies in the house. It's bar talk, ladies edition. And so I just wanted to conclude this section of it by just urging people to be mindful of when you go, because we stand with you, we stand beside you, we walk with you, we're with you in every way. But do understand that there are folks out there who join this just for the excitement. And so if they can come in and they can start a fire, if they can loot without reason, so forth, it defeats the purpose. So be mindful of the folks who are with you, but at the same time, it's a movement, and it's not just for today or for the next person that happens. We need not to be sporadic in how we do it, but we need to continue to do it until change comes around. Would everybody say agree to that?
Agreed.
Okay, good. So now we've passed that. I am going to go to what the topic of the evening is, in that in these times, do we still need to put a ring on it? And funny enough, I was watching things today, and I almost played both songs but I know Facebook, if you start to play copyright songs, they may throw you out. But 2 songs came to mind. One was what you all were singing earlier, and you better put a ring on it and all that kind of thing. And then there's another song that popped into my mind because I watched all of these things from back in the 80s. Love and marriage. Just like it says, there's a horse and cat. This I tell you, brother, you can't have one without the other. So in other words, you got to get married. You got to put a ring on it. That's the old school thought. In today's time, though, I'm not saying old school's thoughts are not important. They are, because that's the foundation. But I just want to throw it out there. And I know, for example, a certain lady last week, Bridget, or a couple weeks ago, when we thought about this, a certain lady by the name of Bridget Edwards said, he better put a ring on it and better fit good too. That was her first thing. She said, you gotta put a ring, gotta put it on. She's in the house tonight. So I know we're probably gonna hear from her also. But seriously, it's a symbolic in my mind, put a ring on it. But does that mean we do a big old wedding? If you're a young couple, What's more important, the stability of the house, or does a ring create stability? Does a big old ring and a wedding and everybody eat your food and talk about you, so forth, does that create, do those things create stability? As a photographer, I can tell you one thing I know. Yes, Kevin is saying kitchen. But beyond that, folks, here's what I realized. It doesn't matter how you plan your wedding. And I may be off subject, and maybe this might be troubling to some people. But it doesn't matter how you plan that wedding as best as you can. There's always somebody who comes to your work. There's always a pookie who comes to your wedding trying to find a fault. And those are the folks who do things that just out to whack and so forth. So are you doing it for the public, to put a ring on it, to show that I am, I am Mrs. So-and-so or Mr. So-and-so, or do you do it because it's the right thing to do? I'm going to start with Nikki. Okay, I'll start with Nikki. Here we go.
Well, okay, funny enough, one of the things that I have learned is that the rate of marriages is actually declining, and has been declining over the past 3 or 4 decades. So I think that there was a time where people were getting married because it was the thing to do. And our parents taught us that's the way. When you meet somebody, you love them, you have children, and that's how you prosper. But I think that our generation, we have a few different things that we're facing. One of the things is declining salaries, right? And women are also getting their degrees. Women can also take care of themselves. So what's the word? The economic attractiveness of men is not quite the same.
Ooh!
Wow.
Yeah,
That hurts!
Yes, I think when you're an independent woman and you can care for yourself at that point, it's more than just the stability, and I think love is also a decision. So to me, it's more than just the love. I think that you need a partner. It needs to be a synergy type of situation. You want to have children and you want to raise them a certain way. You want to be with someone who can make you better. So I think it's more than just the economic stability, and I think it's more than just the love. I think there's a reason why the divorce rate is so high. A lot of people are looking for the wrong things when they're marrying, and don't realize, that who they are today is not who they're going to be in 10 years. So, so it's a complicated topic for me.
What I'm hearing here right off the bat, that the more the sisters become independent, economically self-sufficient, is the lesser need for that ring, in the sense that it creates stability. Lord. Yeah. I'm not even going to comment anymore. I'm just going to pass this right on to Celia.
Just to piggyback off of Nikki, I think our generation, we're looking for partners, like somebody to build with. Like, it's not just. Sometimes I look at our parents or our grandparents, and I feel like they did it because it was convenient and that's what it was supposed to be. And you're watching their relationship, you watch how they interact, but you don't see how it made sense for them to continue. So I think this generation is looking for something that makes sense. You have to be on the same page with many things, because especially now as Black people in America, we need to be able to build our own. You know what I'm saying? So if you're not with somebody that you have the same views and you're not trying to make that money, not trying to build that empire, it doesn't make any sense. And you have to be on the same page as raising the children, because you need to make sure those children grow up and they're able to be self-sufficient as well. A lot of people are not getting married. Some people are just being partners, and I think that's okay. And you mentioned earlier about the wedding and the ring. The ring does not bring stability. It doesn't. It's just a piece of jewelry. You can have it on one minute, you could lose it the next minute. Like, it doesn't bring the stability, but it's what's behind that. What type of relationship do you have? And with any relationship, if you're going to make that serious commitment, there has to be a friendship. That has to be the foundation. Another thing Nikki said, what did you say?
She said a lot.
She said something I wanted to get on.
Economic attractiveness.
No, it wasn't about
There's many
that.
layers.
Well, that too. We are getting up there. She mentioned like people do evolve and change. I was married before. I was not the person I was when I first got married and who I am now, which is why if you and your person are not growing together and not evolving together, then it don't make any sense because in 10 years down the line, hopefully you're a different person because everybody should be growing and evolving into a better you every day.
Nikki, that is so profound to me. Sorry, Saleh. Lord, Nikki, I'm sorry. Saleh, I want you to look straight at that camera and say something that you said a while ago
What did I
because
say?
you talk about the person you were before and the person you are now. Explain that to me. Break it down for some people to understand that it's science. Matter. If you were in chemistry 101 or physics 101, you'd have known matter in motion. Nobody remember? Come on, teachers. Subjected to change, right?
Yes.
Matter in
Yes.
motion,
Yeah.
subjected
There
to
you go.
change.
Yeah.
Which means that human being, the most complex of matter, you're subjected to change, and
Right.
therefore So you finish it. You explain it. Go ahead.
Well, you should, as human beings, we should be evolving and learning every day and striving to be the best we can be. So 10 years ago, you should not be doing the same thing that you were doing or having the same thought patterns or the same behaviors as you are now. When you meet somebody, if you can't see that you guys are on some type of level, like trying to evolve and be better each day, it doesn't make any sense. If you see that the person, after a year or so, you can kind of tell if a person's going to change, or not change, but is interested in doing better for themselves or just the
So can I just interject, because I'm going to play, for the want of a better word, I'm going to play the devil's advocate. Is it better then to get to know somebody than to jump in and to put a ring on it, only to find out that, I hate to use the term, folks, buy a pussy in the bag?
No, but
Yeah,
that's the
it is-
problem.
you're
I'm coming to you, Tammy. Tammy's like over there, like, I just want to get to this, but I'm coming to you, Tammy. But
You're supposed to take the time. You're, like I said earlier, if you're going to be in a long-term relationship, a marriage, that foundation should be a friendship, and you should know each other very well. You should know each other very well. That's why a lot of people are living with each other before they even take that, because what is saying? Say, see me and how
I live with that two different things.
and I experienced that. It's two different. You don't know the person until like you're with them all the time and you're making certain decisions and building something together. Like you're not gonna know how they're gonna react to certain things. Like you have to know the person, and that's why I believe like the foundation should be a friendship, and you should take your time before.
So, in other words, the person, I know from a, and we came from the same church originally. So, talking to folks that understand the same experience. There are certain environments you go to, whether it's a club or a church, and I say it all the time. People hear me on the show. Is that you come into the church, your brother look like him have a job, him look like him. Look all right, well, a decent chest, look, and so forth. I'm sorry. And then somebody said, sister, let me hook on him. Let me hook you up. And the next person says, oh, I heard it from God, right?
God.
You know that saying, right?
Yes.
Oh, God told me. I had a dream. And that's your husband. And so people believe that you need to just get married because you need to lock in this one. If I'm hearing you clearly, finding out more about the person is more important than then trying to, this is my final answer, or I'm turning 30, I'm turning 40, let me
You
lock this
shouldn't
one
rush.
in.
You shouldn't
Gotcha.
rush. Like you need to know what you're getting into, or you'll be stuck and miserable. And I mean, you gotta know. You gotta
So
take your
if
time.
I should summarize what you're saying, the experience, the chemistry, the synergy is more than the...
Then the ring, yeah.
Ah!
I would rather have a relation, like, what does a ring mean? I could lose it. You know what I'm saying?
Down the drain?
Down the drain.
Now, what do you lose if then you go to Cavina?
Yeah. Because she deal with all the trauma, right?
No, I'm not gonna go that far just because of a lost ring.
But I tell you what, I know my former co-worker is sitting there and she's just on ice. that Puerto Rican blood in her just kind of running. All yours. Go ahead.
Well, what I was gonna say is, let me start with, first you should start out with what do you want yourself. I think that's the biggest problem. Nobody's sitting down to figure out what you want as a person. You seeking for something from somebody else that you're not giving yourself. So once you establish yourself, this is my values, this is my morals, this is what I want, this is what I don't want. When you go out and meet a person, you can screen them off the rip. I'm gonna use my little slang, rip. Because now you see, well, this person doesn't have these 3 things I like. So why are you gonna continue to talk to them? I know people, women, there's a lot of women to men. So they do get away with everything. So it's hard. Yes, yes. It's very hard. Yes, it's very hard for a person to find a man that's gonna be committed because there's so many women, educated, financially stable, strong women, single women that are out there. It's not a bad choice. They have a big choice of women out there. So it makes it harder for them to commit. Not saying that they can't, but they do downfall or piggyback on that. Well, you know, she's trying to talk to me and so is she. So they don't step up to what they supposed to. And then us as women, we tend to put a Band-Aid on it and we letting them do the stuff. And I'm not saying us in particular, but there's more women out there that accept these behaviors, accept them to do this, accept them to do that. I just want this man in my house, so I'm paying all the bills. I don't care. As long as he's here in my bed, I'm happy. So then if I come along and I'm like, well, sweetie, what job you have? No, you can't lay up here. Guess what he gonna do? Okay, Tammy, I love you, but guess what? Jane over here said I could lay up in the bed and do what I feel like it. So no matter how much he loves you, he's gonna go to what's convenient and what's easy.
So let me just jump in, Tammy, because you're trying to start a fight here, right?
I'm trying to start a
yes. Fight, right? You're saying on the flip side,
Yes,
some men might just put a ring on it from his own security.
thank you.
Oh, Jesus.
Yes, they do. I see the men do it all the time. They jump in with a girl, or a girl takes them in right away because she's being needy. Not him. He knows what he could do. She's being needy. She needs him. So he knows that. So they play on women's mind. And not intentionally that you're being stupid, but you're looking for love. You're looking for companionship. You're looking for friendship. So that weakens the women's mind. So they accept certain things that normally if they would have thought it out, they would have not did it at all. So that's where I'm at. I've been married, so don't think I have not been married. I've been married with 3 girls, and I raised them by myself this whole time. All 3 of them, as of this year, are going to be in college. And I have to teach them. I want them to be strong-minded, but I also tell them to let a man lead. Because sometimes we take too much control, so we baby them, so they don't want to do nothing. So you start making them disabled. Because now they don't want you doing it, so guess what? If you keep telling me, I got it, I'm like, okay, well, I'm not doing that no more because you keep jumping in. You see? So sometimes you have to let them lead, even though, you know, they're making a mistake, but let them do it. Because if not, they ain't going to do it no more. So.
So let me ask you a question. Before we go jump and put the ring on it, then, you need to find out all of that. Is there a timeline for something like that then?
No, it depends on the individual. I mean, it depends on how you feel with that person, how you and him are communicating. It's not no timeline, I don't think, how women say, oh, after a year, you got to do this, after 5 years. I don't think that's correct. It depends on what you're dealing with. I only know what I'm dealing with. You only know. I can't tell you, tell him to put a ring. You've been talking to him for a year, girl, and he ain't do da-da-da-da-da. No, she might not be ready. But then the guy I'm talking to, he ready. He did everything. So it's different. It just depends on the person.
Kavina, please put some. We
coming for her. We coming to her for counseling.
Kavina, please put some science to this for me, please.
Just have the medication.
Okay. Well, there's a lot to unpack. Well, before I put like some science to it or research to it, or
yes,
I think the perspective that I want to go from is a 20-something perspective, right? So I'm 27, so you have to think like all these years you have this ideal of what marriage should look like, right? Books, Disney Channel. Like, Disney give you like
A lie.
like a full fit lie, like
Full lie.
you're gonna be the
Hold on,
princess.
hold on, back up. No, hold on, because I missed that. Yeah. Look, tell them exactly. Yeah.
Okay, so
Yeah, but what's the big lie?
okay, what did,
After the
Let them know.
well, okay, so it's a bag of lies, right? Honestly, so what Disney promotes is that you are the princess, right? And you are eventually gonna meet this man of your dreams, and he's gonna look like Ken from the Barbie set, right? And then you meet the man of your dreams, and you have to chase the man of your dreams, right? Or it's Aladdin, and the man chases you, whatever the case may be. Regardless of the situation, it's a bag of lies. So we have to talk about expectations, right? So what are my expectations for a relationship? This is not just like marriage. What are my expectations for my ring? Like, I know I want a pear ring, and I want it to be rose gold, and I want it to be 2-point-something carats or 3 point. Okay, but what is, like, the ring is the shallow version of it, but what is under everything, right? So what are your expectations? What are you expecting from a relationship? Not only that, but what am I doing to contribute to this relationship? Or how am I babying somebody, right? So like people typically have expectations for you, but you don't have expectations for yourself, and you just settle for whatever come your way, which is not appropriate, right? So I'm talking from the 20-something perspective. Now I'm moving up until 30s. Okay.
When the clock starts.
Kavina, hold on to that a little bit, because we have been doing, and again I do apologize to our audience, because we've had a live audience kicking in, and Kevin or somebody back there, please take it in from the moment to remember
I
perspective.
got you a moment.
Okay, but Juliet Stedman, hey, hello, hallelujah, I was watching. Christian, incidentally, folks, just so you know, Juliet Stedman is one of the people behind the camera. Christian, listening from South Florida. We get Denise Ivandi, one of my sisters, is good evening to you all. Sharon Bryan, I'm watching from
Chicago? Wait.
Chesapeake, Virginia. See, I got problems, you know. Ivandi, what's the topic? No, yeah, Ivandi, the topic, you probably heard it already. If not, let me know. No, it's in these times, do I still need to put a ring on it? Okay, we're looking at Jim Boyd, watching from Toronto, Canada. Hi, Toronto, hopefully your weather is, well, today was a good day, but hopefully you didn't have the weather we've had in all week. Juliet Davis is from Sunrise. Hey, Juliet, how you doing? Is watching. Mike Tam is, Lauderdale is watching. Mike, Jason, hey, the guys are out, right? I see Mike, I see Jason is watching from Orlando. Vivian Sedon, the chairman of my Sunrise Chamber of Commerce. Awesome guy. By the way, Sunrise Chamber of Commerce, I'm a member. I'm actually the photographer for Sunrise Chamber of Commerce. A wonderful place. If you're in the Sunrise, if you have business in Sunrise, if you live in Sunrise, you need to check out the Sunrise Chamber of Commerce. Althea Marie Smith is watching. C-Roy, hey! C-Roy, my boy. That's watching.
Okay.
Tiffany.
C-Roy, don't watch.
Hey, C-Roy, them ladies, you know, one of them days, C-Roy, we need to have you on the program. C-Roy has a wealth of information. Tiffany Reed, I have observed that this is a touchy subject amongst our people. Those that have children, let me guess it. Those that have children out of wedlock are easily offended when you advocate for marriage. Of course, you can successfully raise children without a government binding document. But has anyone looked at the common law? Here we go. Common law household numbers. I have not, but I firmly advocate two-parent household, no matter the economic power of the male or female. But she advocates that. Tiffany Reed, that I know Tiffany well, that's a mouthful. Good thought, Tiffany. Monica Wilson is watching. That's your family member, Kevin. Jason Reynolds. Tell them again, Celia, my godchild. Okay. Gina Spice is watching. Jason Reynolds. Ring does not bring stability. I hear it. These guys are in on it today. Mike Tam, true Saleya. Oh Lord, Paula Scott is watching. Hey Paula, Kevin, say hi to you too. Evadi, 10 years ago, what I could have married for, i.e. love, now is not only 10 years ago, what I would have married for, i.e. love, now is not only that any longer. I am looking for, essentially Van is saying, like what you're saying. 10 years ago, you married someone because what you thought was love. As you progress, you realize, not necessarily that. Marlon Burrell is watching. Hey Marlon, how you doing, man? Juliet Davis, The Ring, and Juliet Davis says the ring, and that ring makes one legally responsible for the other. That's all that does, and that's true. People, because you know for a fact, if you were in a coma at the hospital, the only person, not your kids, that ring gives people power. So you need to understand also that therefore if it's not only stability, but some people see that ring as absolute power over somebody.
You could get paperwork for that though.
You can't get okay.
Why can't it be just a commitment?
Yeah,
People just commit. That's just showing that you committed to that person, putting a ring
And-
on it.
And then Denise says, if I agree with Saleya, boy, Saleya, you got some people out there, you know. Rosie Rashawn Warren is watching. Tiffany Reed, I agree, but the downfall of that living together has the potential of people getting too comfortable. Let me go back to it. Especially men, oh Lord gosh, that their mentality is, why do I have to buy the milk when I can get the cow for free?
There you go.
Performing wife duties without status, no thanks. Been there and done that. Okay. All right.
That's a good one.
Eddie Edwards is watching, and of course, we know Bridget Edwards is in the house. Eddie Edwards is in the house. Okay, Millicent Henry, amen to that. Educated, financially stable, doing well, sometimes hard to find a man to match that. And I'm going to pause there and I'm going to go back to Kavina. Your take on all that.
I don't recall.
You don't recall.
No.
I tell you what, I'm going to do something crazy. Hold that camera right there because I know Bridget Edwards is in the house and she's not supposed to be on the mic, but I'm going to ask her to mosey on right here and give your take on things. Right between these two ladies, so the mic is right over you.
Good evening, everyone. What I have to say is that this thing is work. Don't think any other thing than that. It is work. What you put into it is what you are going to get out of it. That ring is a commitment. These men, as you said, they have options, they have choices, and they are all over the place. And if you are willy-nilly, they are not going to give you squat. So you have to lay down the law. The last thing I have to say, they say women are fickle, but men can be fickle too.
Oh,
so
Jesus.
they have, this is important, they have to love you more than you love them.
No, come back here. Bridget, come back here. She dropped the mic. She literally dropped the mic.
What else do I need to say?
She is the wife of Eddie Edwards. And I don't take any responsibility for this topic today. My disclaimer is that Eddie gave me this topic.
That's where you're going with?
Yes. Yeah, but moving, Eddie, any thoughts on it? You want to chime in and say something?
You know what though? I've heard everybody talk about,
No, you chime in. We
Go
can't hear you. We can't hear you.
Oh, here.
Good.
Here, borrow my mic. Here.
Huh?
There you go. You don't want to be on camera, we'll give you a mic.
No, I'm just saying that, they say a lot, but I haven't heard anybody talk about sex yet.
You want us to go there?
Oh, and I think Celia just jump on that. Say you really want us to go there. Back to Celia, folks. Back to Celia, please do.
What am I supposed to say?
Ring and sex, are they compatible?
Wait.
What?
No.
Oh, okay. I don't know where Eddie went with that, and you don't want to come up to the mic.
It's like orange and apple.
It's apples and oranges. One don't relate to the other.
No.
Not.
Sex is an expression.
Yeah.
Expression of what? A
A
ring?
number
No,
of things.
it doesn't.
I just think
Happy home.
Eddie has just thrown a fly in the ointment just now. Okay, so while you guys think about it, I'm just gonna go right back to the people who have been texting, and I'm gonna read some things, guys, and then you can actually
I think
regroup.
if she's happy, he'll be happy.
Oh Lord. Okay.
That's accurate.
Period.
Let me go back.
Happy life.
There you go.
And so we mentioned we went back to the relationship consideration. For example, Rosie said relation consideration that should avoid chaos. We are connected emotionally, spiritually. Do we share the same fundamental family values, visions, goals? Have key consideration, love, compassion, respect for other people, for persons, for places, for things, for community, for humanity. Somewhat independent, self-respect, dignity, mental, social, financial stability, sound background, effective communication, intelligence, humor, character, integrity, kind of the ability to resolve issues prior to escalating. In other words, walk away from stuff, avoid negative energies, be progressive, and being a supportive partner. But my question to that, I hear you going there, Kavita. But how you go through that and know so? Because listen, talking from a man's point of view, I'm gonna tell you all.
Okay, I'm gonna drink it.
I think I'll take a sip too.
Everybody.
Because I tell you what. When a guy, I'm talking from purely a man perspective, and I give you this as an example how we operate.
Okay.
I did not want to go to a teacher's college because when the school I came from in Jamaica, you don't go to a teacher's college. I thought when you went to like Wilmer's, you don't go to a teacher's college afterwards. But I passed up all the things I could do, and my mother decided to send me to teacher's college. So I ended up at a place called Bethlehem Teachers College up in the hills. Actually, folks, for all my Bethlehemites watching, it was the best 3 years of my life. It's one of the best set of 3 years of my life, if there's such a thing. But the funny thing I'll never forget, I got to Santa Cruz, and I was so upset about the trip and the long through all these places in Jamaica, and the bus stopping, and the bus is full, and people talking about empty bus. You know, that's kind of Jamaican thing, you know. But I got to Santa Cruz, and I wanted to find out where's the bus to go up the hill to Malvern. And I saw this girl, back then it was a Jordache jeans, looking fine and otherwise. And suddenly this little Kingstonian sat it himself nice, brush off, make sure he had the best language, and he went to her and said, hi my dear lady, how do I find the nearest bus to go to Malvern? Unfortunately, I didn't realize that the language was different in different parts of Jamaica, and she said, but the point I'm making in all of that, because she was one of those deep country ladies who had an accent, but what I saw coming from Kingston was a brown skin, nice brown skin, you know? The point I'm making that so many men make the same mistake. We see a lady, she look nice, we approach her a certain way, we start to treat her a certain way. How long does it take to kind of shell off that front that guy got this does? Because to many women, he comes out that way, he looks that way, and suddenly, I hate to throw it at you ladies, but you start thinking, why this is marriage material?
No.
You start second guessing, like, what?
Is this a new age thing then? Because too often people think this is marriage material. And God forbid he's in the church. I'm going to talk to pastor about him. And if you walk me home, it's a wrap. Because Kavita, talk to me.
Back in the days.
Well, you talking about back in the days.
Oh, Lord Jesus. Well, talk to me.
I'm talking about now.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, what I was going to say, though, a lot of 20-somethings are looking for companionship or physicality, and they're not looking for partnership. So oftentimes it's like really shallow. But if a guy walk up to me, there's a number of things rushing through my head. It's not like just, well, you know, shallow. You can be shallow, right? You're looking like you look good. Let's see what he can do with his money. Like, yeah, you start thinking.
So you agreed though with me that just like how we look shallow when we see somebody like that girl I saw in St. Elizabeth, you gotta look shallow too.
You know, females look. It's not like all of a sudden, oh my God, he's marriage material. That's confusing.
Okay.
Right? That's
All right,
very
all right.
confusing in these days. It's a lot of thought processing going on, right? And then you look at how his mannerism is, how he courting you. If he ain't courting you right, something wrong with him. What is he doing with his phone? Is he always on his phone? It's so many different levels to really like looking at somebody and saying, is this person marriage material? But for the 20-somethings, oftentimes it's just companionship. Can you just hang out with me? Can you take up my time? Not partnership. Can you build with me? What can we do together? How can you progress me and make me better? So I don't think it's always just like marriage material when you first look at somebody, just to address what you just said.
Yeah.
And I do think,
Not today.
not today,
No.
Right.
not today.
I think that's where a lot of marriages went wrong.
Yeah.
I think that's what
It's just
happened back in the
shallowness.
day. It was like, oh, he's attractive, he's nice, he has a job, let's get married.
Yeah.
And that is absolutely not how we look at things today.
No.
We'd
How you
rather
look at
be
things?
alone.
Yeah. Give you.
I mean, I'd rather be alone than to be with someone that I'm not compatible with. And like you said, a companionship is important to me, but I'm looking for someone to grow with. I want to build empires, like Suleja said. So that's how I look at it. Attraction is just what opens the door. That's it. All it does is open the door and allows me to respond to you. You know, if you are, introducing yourself, if you're attractive enough, I'll introduce myself back, and that's it. But
Hi, I'm Kevin.
Hi, Kevin. But I wanted to mention though something that you said that no one had mentioned, sex. I
Oh, Jesus. Here we go.
well,
Please talk, Nikki.
the thing is, I think that sex is what breaks up a lot of marriages. I think not being sexually fulfilled is a problem, and I think that because it was so taboo at a time to discuss. People go into marriages with sex being an afterthought and get into the marriages reeling how
Church girl.
they-
Church girl.
I didn't say I did that. I'm not saying me, but I'm saying there are people, I know many married people who are not sexually satisfied with their partners, who look outside of the marriage, who are not happy within the marriage because of a sex issue. And I think that it has to not be taboo at the beginning. It needs to be something addressed at the very beginning because it's something that will become a problem later.
So let me just jump right in, Nikki, and let me just look straight at you. So, in other words, putting that ring on it, sex before the ring? Here we go. Here we go. Here we go. You just said that people married. If I understand Nikki clearly, she said people married and realized that a part of the dynamics of the relation is not just the money, it's not just the house, the land, the looks of everything. It's compatibility. And part of the compatibility is sexual compatibility. And for folks who don't know or who live under the rock, there's such a thing that as sexual compatibility. If you're not there, you eliminating part of the relationship. Now, is it that you, as from a religious point of view, a church point of view, you don't touch it till you get married? And I think that's probably one of the things that Eddie kind of, I don't know if he was alluding to that, but since he threw it in there, I'm going to blame him for it. You know? That's right. I'm going to blame him for it. But is it something that a part of the stability, because people want to throw it under the carpet, and I'm going to go back to you to address that, Kavita, but people kind of throw that kind of thing. In fact, next week, we have a therapist on the show who's going to talk about that.
A sex therapist.
Yes.
Ooh.
And if you want to join her, feel free. Okay. But people try to treat it on the especially if you go in the church and it's a taboo conversation and you don't want to
That's the
talk about
men,
it.
sorry, that's the men doing that, because.
Let me finish that.
Y'all doing that. Yes, y'all doing that.
But in other words, part of putting a ring on it is that you ain't getting into the put a ring on it. Is that the contemporary? Is that the new age concept?
No.
It's
No.
not?
That's
The
traditional.
men are
What if
still
it's
being
not
old fashioned.
Traditional.
That's
No.
traditional.
Okay, so Tommy, back to you.
Listen here.
Oh, Lord. Oh, listen here, I love that.
And I'm gonna say how shallow some men can. I ain't say all. Some men are, and it's a majority. They expect the woman that they taking home with them. They're white. They gotta be Mother Teresa. They supposed to act a certain way. They're not supposed to do this. They're not supposed to do that. But then they go out in the street and do all these freaky stuff, because that's the word, with all these other women. Why didn't you come home and discuss that with me? And we can do that.
Because Tommy, he
They
married
want-
you in the
they want
church
you-
and you are a missionary.
Yeah, no.
Can
Hold on, I got something to say.
Oh, pun intended.
Yeah, church kind of like the
Go
religious
ahead,
background
yeah.
to it, and the Bible. Like, there's some things in there that was forced on us to control us. Okay, so yes, I
Speak up, speak
I
up.
was a minister. I grew up in church. You know that.
I know that.
But I go into the word. I know, and I also know human behavior and interaction and stuff. But sex is important. You got to know if you're compatible with the person. Now, you're right. If the man is not, if you married and the man is not satisfied with you, and you all thinking you have to, and you don't do that nasty freaky stuff that he like, he gonna find it somewhere else.
But he
And
don't
that's-
want you to do it. He wants to go out and do it. He
Well,
don't want
that's
you
the thing.
to.
That's why there should be a conversation too.
That's some
because-
part of the conversation
'cause-
before yeah.
Right. It needs to be addressed into whether you partake or just have a discussion. That's up to you. I'm not gonna go into that. But there was a point that I always think about how in some cultures the children are raised, like, I guess when they become of age, like 12, 13 or whatever, they have a mentor or they have an elder there to kind of like guide them in how you behave as a woman or a wife, or how you behave as a husband or a man. And even they go into, like, when you get engaged, or even if it's an arranged thing, like, you know what is expected of you. Even sexually, there's some people that, like, they tell you what to do, how to please a man, and then they hide under the bed and make sure you do the right thing to please your man or to please your woman. We don't do that. I feel like we were just kind of like, just because we were taken from our homeland, our culture, and thrown into this westernized society and culture, and forced this religion and all these things on us. We don't know what to do, and we're sitting here. What am I supposed to do? How am I supposed to treat my man? How am I supposed to treat my woman? How do we court? How do we do these things? And then the only thing we do is go back to the church. And then sometimes stuff that happen in the church when they bring you together, it mash up.
And we come from the same experience, folks. So I know what you're talking about. We ain't gonna label nothing and so forth, but I do know what she's talking. Can I just interject so we can interact with our audience? Tiffany Reed says Tammy's 100% correct. What? She said Tammy's 100% right. She says the ball is in the man's court based on numbers alone. Why should they compromise? Why should they compromise? Is their attitude? Not so sure how that means. Vivi, again, I know you're watching. Denise says the ring is Denise Ibadni says the ring is a circle, a piece of metal, and does not hold a person's accountability. Yikes. Let me read that. And Bridget is saying yes.
Yes, it does.
You know, how long you been married to Eddie, Bridget?
33 years.
Bridget, who married for Eddie for 33 years, she agrees 100% with Ivani. She says the ring is a circle, a piece of metal, and does not hold a person's accountability. If you're not on the same page and you did not come from a firm foundation prior to the I do, it will crash and burn, in other words. Fizzle to nothing. Whoa. Big words, big words. Marianne, I can't remember, Marion Loban.
Yes.
Yes, Marion, yes, is watching. Oh, hi, Mr. Star, how you doing? Juliet Davis, yes, that's experience talking. I don't know. Hey, Juliet, who are you talking about? Somebody said that's experience talking. Okay. Millicent Henry, agreed. Timeline is not necessary. In other words, how long or short, it don't matter. Sonia Rose, for younger people, the option to have and to grow your children in a stable environment should be paramount. And let me go back to that, should be paramount. However, as one gets older, the need to put on a ring on it, less need to put a ring on it, you may have to become single through a divorce or death. For some, being there, done that, it's just fine. In other words, she's saying, pretty much if you add a ring on it, but life happens and you keep moving on, right? Mike, interesting conversation, says Mike Tam. Wayne Golden, Wayne is watching with you. Millicent Henry is watching from Bronx, New York.
Yay.
Your town. Okay. Angel Lewis Brown, greetings from Texas. Haha. And then we have Norman Dr. Jr. watching from another guy coming on. From Lauderdale. Hey, Norman, thank you, guy. Just keep the faith, man. Another guy. And then we have Gordon is watching from New York City. Parrish Thompson watching from Plantation. Mitch McLean. Hey, Mitch, what's up, sis? Hey, congrats on your son graduating this year. Love it, love it, love it. Yep. Kevin says the same. Judy Jackson is watching. Judy Jackson is watching. Angie Lewis Brown. While I will advocate for two people to raise children, still there is a, let me go back to it. For two picture, there's a broader picture to the fact of the long-term effects. Folks must look at the legality of signing documents. Example, if your spouse is sick or away from the house, etc., you can marry, but, etc. Okay. You can marry, but you don't necessarily need a ring. Is that? But is the ring the same thing as marriage? I don't know.
No, marriage is you're signing the legal documents. The ring is just a
symbol.
Okay, so you get married with a symbol.
It's just a symbol. You could get a necklace. You can't get a hair tie. You can't. It's a westernized symbol. Let me just say that.
Okay, so in other words, even the ring,
Western people.
the ring could be an earring. You're saying that.
It could be an earring. It could be a tattoo. I'm all about the tattoo. You know.
My husband has a tattoo of my name. That's
Okay, actually, if you put a tattoo at the right place, you can also get rid of folks from. Anyway, not next subject. Rated PG, yes.
Okay.
Okay.
Oh.
You can put it this way, folks. You can ward off evil spirits. Okay. And so, Judy Jackson, sex is sex, love is love. Big point. Vivian Bailey says, I'm calling from Fort Lauderdale. Judy Jackson, what's important is respect. Brenda Brown Layton, shacking up? Nah, too old for that. Juliet Davis says, an expression of my spirit. Take you and I like it or not. Andrea Green is watching from UK. Hi, Andrea, how you doing? She says hi too. Micah Tam says, that's a good point about relationship in the 20s. Relationship versus companionship as opposed to building. Judy Jackson, I need some connection from that at the first meeting. Sure, okay. Andrea Green, hey Luke, how are you? Andrea Green from Wolverton, UK. Each meet with a guy is so different. Things are dictated by a number of things. So she's saying to me, hey, listen, every time you meet a guy, there's something good. I know we're running out of time, but we still got a little time to go. We still can wrap up shortly. This is never a never-ending discussion. Millicent Henry, well said, Salea. Oh, that's a friend of yours?
No. How you doing?
Well said, Salea. friends told me that once a woman is engaged, the woman is in the village comes to talk. Let me see. The village comes to talk to the bride about sex, about okay, that's what you're saying.
Yeah.
That when you're in a certain environment, you're raised to understand what
Right,
to
you know
expect,
what
so
you're
forth.
doing.
Okay, as opposed to yes, and so forth. We are running slightly out of time. Any closing words? I'm gonna start. Let me start
Well,
with you.
before you do that,
Yes.
let me just big up the people on Moment. Hyacinth, Morris, Lily, Paula Scott, Marjorie Forrest, Karen Lindsay. Karen says, shout out to Sister Juliet. She says, greetings from the UK. Hey Luke, loving the show. Paula says, we're having too much fun.
We are.
We are. Closing thoughts.
I would say that, ultimately, like you said in the beginning, you have to know what you want. And I think it's really important that people don't get married for the sake of getting married. Don't put a ring on it because you think it's the right thing to do, or it's what your grandmother did, or whoever else did. Know that it's something that is really truly in your heart, and you plan to build and grow with someone, and that you're ready to go through it in the long haul. Make sure you do your work at the front end, and that includes sex, I believe, and just really understanding who that person is and who they're trying to be in the future. And I think that doing that work at the front end can prevent a lot of breakup on the back end.
When you say sex in the front end, you mean before the marriage?
Yeah.
Well, I think it's helpful.
Yes.
I do. I actually.
Just for clarity.
For clarity, I think it's helpful.
And something, this may go against everything that I go to church on Sunday, I believe, but too often you buy yourself a bag of goods that sometimes affect you in the long term.
Absolutely.
And that's the real truth.
Right.
Just in closing, Nikki, tell them who you are, what you do, how to connect with you.
I am Nikki Thompson. I am a mortgage processor and realtor. You can find me on Instagram at Nikki Sky, NIKKISKAI, and on Etsy, Mahogany Post.
Okay, moving to the hot tamale. Let's go all the way to Tamisha. Tammy Green.
Thank you. Just like I said from the beginning, we're in a new age now. We can't go back in time. We're in the 20th century. So I just feel that once you know what you want in a relationship, you know how to move forward and to find that person that's compatible to you. And also to try to give as much as you're going to receive. Because I noticed that also you expect things from him that you're not willing to do. So that's how I'm going to end it there.
Tammy, just tell me who you are, what you're advocating, and how we can get a hold of if you need to join your advocacy.
I do work. I'm an educator here in Broward County. I like working with at-risk students. I also a tax accountant for Jackson Hewitt if you need your individual taxes done. Otherwise, I'm just me. Enjoying my
folks, don't let her tell you that. Tammy and I worked with, I ran as a school as a director of operations for a school of the only drop back in kids, right, from both DJJ and the Department of Juvenile Justice and Broward County schools. So we had the weight of Broward County schools and we have the weight of the juvenile justice system. We are the only school, if a kid gives you the finger, he gets 15 minutes of counseling and he's back in your car, in your class. There's no VP running to talk to him and call his mama and send him home. He's back in the class. And let me tell you something. Tammy Green was one of those people who we held down the fort. Big up Tammy Green.
Yeah.
So Leah.
My final words, don't rush to marriage. Build that foundation of a friendship. Make sure you do your homework and you guys are on the same page. That's important, especially the sex part. You guys brought it up.
Oh, no, come on.
No. Yeah, it's important to know who you're dealing with before you jump into that commitment, especially if you have children. I have children, so I'm always thinking how it's going to affect my children, and I'm watching everything and listening to everything, and that's what everyone should do before you jump into a marriage. You want me to introduce myself again?
I just tell what you do, what if there's any advocacy that you have, are there any special projects you do, any business that you do, let us know.
All right, so I'm Suleya. I'm an assistant principal at a local charter school. I'm the founder of an organization called Link Up and Build. You can find us on Instagram, on Facebook, link_up_and_build. You'll see like a little Sankofa symbol, a colorful one. We're trying to build up the youth. Started a couple years ago in my house. Trying to build up the youth, let them know their identity, who they are. Marcus Garvey said a nation without a knowledge of their history is like a tree with no roots. And that's what I stand on.
Awesome.
And that's what we're doing. Nikki's a part of the organization too. We have families. We're trying to link up different connections with the youth, teaching them entrepreneurship, how to love themselves, our history. They're not teaching it in the school. I'm telling you, they're not teaching our history in the school. I am in the school for about 15 years now. They're not teaching it. So look us up. We do a lot of field trips and workshops and different upliftment for our Black children.
Awesome. And let me close it out with a clinician we have in our house. Kavina, go ahead. Take it away.
So my closing remarks is to know yourself before you give yourself away. Know yourself, know your expectations, your foundation, your morals, the things that you need to be satisfied. Don't allow somebody to dictate to you what it should look like for you, because you know that you are going to join in a partnership. And you do not want to be in a partnership and be dragged along and lose pieces of yourself. You want to be able to build with your partner. Thank you. I'm sorry. Either way, and so the most important thing is take care of your mental health. You are who you are, especially learn who you are, because what's important is understanding who you are, so that way you can tell that person, don't mess with me in this area. I'm not going to change because you told me to. I'm going to change because it's progressing me. And so...
Quick question to you, because there is a notion that the moment you seek mental health counseling,
that's confusing. I know
you
All right, so
you kooky.
Okay, I'm
Yeah,
ready.
yes, go ahead. Yes.
Okay. I think there's a lot of things to dispel in the Black community when it comes to mental health. Your mental health is the most important thing out there, right? I get a lot of my clients are obviously minorities, but a lot of them are Caribbean people, right? And we know in the Caribbean there are cultural things about mental health. You're mad, this is you. Like my mom used to think, like, if I do mental health, something gonna jump on me.
The spirit.
And somehow the spirit gonna take me. And all of a sudden I'm not mentally well. So I think what's more important is to understand that nobody can dictate to you how your mental health should look. A lot of people don't seek counseling, a lot of people don't seek help, a lot of people don't seek medication because they're afraid of the judgments of not only just the Black community, but society on a whole. It's a lot of ill judgments, a lot of biases and stereotypes and prejudices to people who have mental health issues. And not until you take care of what's in your house can you help other people. Sometimes your story can help other people. I think everybody should seek counseling, like everybody. Should seek a lot of counseling before you decide to enter into any relationship. And so what I say is take care of your home, take care of your mind. So your mind controls how your body reacts to things, your emotions. And if your mind isn't right, how are you expecting your body to follow suit? So either way, I am a strong advocate for mental health help. Finding support groups, speaking to the people that are professionals. Sometimes you can't always speak to church people. No offense, I am of the godly persuasion, no matter the situation. But find the people, your professionals, because they're the ones that can help you along the way. So that's how I feel.
Awesome. Any organizations that you're affiliated to, any kind of thing that you're doing to push, awareness forward? I would like to use this time, at least you can use this time to highlight that.
So I'm not a part of anything right now. I'm trying to get my footing. I'm trying to get my licensure. But once I do get my licensure, my goal is not only to help women, but to help Black women. especially women who've had children, who are single mothers, who may feel single in their own relationships, even when they're parenting. So that's where I'm at. But you can follow me on Instagram at drippingandhoney_.
Ooh. Dripping in honey. Whoa.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah. I feel it. Ah! Oh, I got a cool down.
So that's dripping in honey what?
_.
Oh. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I see you, sis.
Melanated.
I got you. Okay, folks. Everybody's telling me time is going, so guess what? Time is gone. So this is what happens when you get people on the show. There's a synergy, there's a oneness of the direction we're going, and it's been fun. Folks, next week, this is kind of closely connected to what's going to happen next week, because I'll announce it later on in the week. But I'm just going to put it this way. If your love life is under curfew and quarantine, you really need to listen out for the show next week. We have another amazing professional that's going to be talking to us, and I may even invite you back to do so to talk about this. And I'm not talking somebody who had a PhD from some online thing that they, just like yourself and these ladies, these people are earned degrees, and they have lived long enough, and they have had quite a bit of understanding to know what's happening. So join us next week. But as always, I just want to thank you for joining into Facebook. So it's www.facebook.com/Jamaicans.com. And this is brought to you by Moment to Remember Photo and Video Studios. We do all things photo and video. We just want to welcome our guests. And listen, folks, look at these faces, because this is not the last time you're seen. They're part of a crew that we're building that will tackle issues, just everyday issues. It's bar talk. It's talking about things in an environment that you probably not go home and sit down and talk to, or take it to your pastor. I know one situation, some lady brought to a pastor something, and he labeled her after that. So, hey, listen, this is Bar Talk. We thank you for joining. See you next week. God bless.